There's a strange kind of suffering that happens not in the world, but entirely inside your head. You replay old conversations. You imagine future disasters that never happen. You overanalyze every choice until even the simplest decision feels heavy. And the more you think, the less alive you feel. It's like carrying a storm that no one else can see. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The mind adapts and turns everything to its purpose." Yet most of us let the mind work against us, creating fear, stress, and endless noise. But here's the truth. Life becomes peaceful the moment you stop living in imagined realities and return to the one in front of you. Today, we're diving into 7 Stoic principles that will help you break free from overthinking, calm your inner world, and finally experience the quiet strength of a mind that serves you instead of scares you. Let's begin. 1. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. Most people live as if every thought that appears in their mind must be true, important, or deserving of emotional reaction. But a Stoic sees something deeper. The mind generates thousands of thoughts every day, and most of them are noise. Echoes of old fears, leftover anxiety, and unconscious habits. When you fuse your identity with those thoughts, you get pulled into every spiral, every worry, every memory that hurts. But when you learn to step back and witness them, something powerful happens. You create space, and in that space, you find peace. The modern world makes this harder. Constant information, overstimulation, and social pressure create mental clutter. You start believing every opinion, every notification, every internal whisper that says you're not enough, you're behind, or you're failing. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Your worth is not determined by the chaos inside your head, but by the clarity with which you observe it. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. He wrote his thoughts down, not to indulge them, but to separate himself from them. Here's the shift. You are not the storm, you are the sky above it. Thoughts come and go like clouds. Some are dark, some are heavy, some arrive with thunder, but none of them define the sky. When you over-identify with your thoughts, you drown in every emotional wave. When you remember you are the observer, you rise above the noise. Imagine a thought appears. They probably don't like me. Most people react to the thought instead of questioning it. They assume it's true, feel anxious, and alter their behavior. But a Stoic pauses and says, "It's just a thought." Then they examine it. Is it a judgment, a fear, a story I'm telling myself? And simply by naming it, its power weakens. The thought no longer controls you. You control your relationship to it. One practical way to train this is through the label and step back technique. When a thought arises, don't dive into it. Label it. This is worry. This is fear. This is memory. This is imagination. By labeling it, you remind your mind that it is only one fragment of your consciousness, not the whole of who you are. You create just enough distance to see clearly again. Another method is journaling, not emotional dumping, but Stoic reflection. Write down the thought and then ask, is this a fact or a judgment? Is this happening in reality or only in my head? Would this matter in a week, in a year? The more you question your thoughts, the more they shrink back into what they truly are, temporary mental events. The moment you stop treating every thought as truth, you unlock a new kind of inner freedom. The world outside may be chaotic, but your internal world becomes steady. You don't chase every emotion. You don't panic at every fear. You watch, you breathe, you choose. When you understand this principle deeply, life changes. You stop drowning in your mind. You start standing above it. And for the first time in a long time, you feel the calm that comes from knowing, I am the observer, not the storm. 2. Overthinking is a substitute for action. One of the hardest truths to accept is this. Most overthinking is not deep thinking, it's avoidance dressed as analysis. When you replay the same scenarios, imagine 100 outcomes or delay a decision for weeks, it's rarely because you need more information. It's because your mind is using thinking as a shield to avoid discomfort. Action feels risky, movement feels uncertain. Doing nothing feels safer. So the brain convinces you that more thinking will somehow create clarity. But clarity is not found in thought loops. It is found in taking the next small step forward. Stoicism teaches that action is the antidote to anxiety. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He understood a timeless paradox. Your mind becomes calmer when your feet begin moving. Anxiety grows in stillness because stillness feeds imagination. When you don't act, your brain fills the silence with fear, what-ifs, and exaggerated outcomes. But when you act, even imperfectly, you reclaim agency. You remind your mind that you are in control, not the other way around. Think about how many times you've spent days thinking about sending a message, having a difficult conversation, applying for a job, starting a project, or ending a relationship. In your head, it feels huge, heavy, overwhelming. But the moment you take even one tiny step, the entire emotional weight shifts. That's because action grounds you in reality. Overthinking keeps you trapped in possibilities, most of which will never happen. Reality is always simpler than the mind imagines. A powerful Stoic tool for breaking this pattern is the 2-minute next step. Not the whole task, not the whole decision, just the next micro-action that can be done in 2 minutes or less. Draft the first sentence. Open the application. Write the message. Outline the idea. When you shrink the action, you shrink the fear. And when fear shrinks, overthinking loses its purpose. Another reason overthinking takes over is perfectionism. You want the perfect timing, perfect words, perfect outcome. The Stoics rejected this obsession. They believed your duty is to act with reason and integrity, not to control outcomes. Trying to predict every result is a form of arrogance the mind disguises as caution. True wisdom is accepting that uncertainty is part of life and that progress requires movement, not guarantees. Action also breaks emotional loops. When you stay in your head, emotions recycle without resolution. But when you do something, even small, your nervous system receives a signal. We are moving. That signal creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Confidence isn't something you think your way into. It's something you earn by doing. Ask yourself, what decision have I delayed because thinking about it feels easier than facing it? What step have I avoided because action would make the situation real? The Stoic response is simple. Take the smallest, honest step. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. The moment you replace overthinking with action, peace begins to return. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop fighting ghosts in your mind and start engaging with the world in front of you. And it's in that engagement, in choosing movement over mental paralysis, that you finally remember. Clarity comes from action, not analysis. 3. Most of your suffering comes from imagined scenarios. If you look closely at your stress, you'll notice something surprising. Most of it doesn't come from what is actually happening. It comes from what might happen, what could happen, or what you fear will happen. The mind is incredibly skilled at creating movies, vivid scenes of rejection, failure, embarrassment, loss. And even though these scenarios are imaginary, your body reacts as if they're real. Your heart races, your stomach tightens. You lose sleep, all because of something that exists only in your mind. Seneca said it perfectly. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This wasn't a poetic metaphor. It was an observation about human psychology thousands of years ahead of its time. Your mind treats imagined threats the same way it treats real ones. That means overthinking is not just a mental habit. It's a physical burden you carry for no reason. Think about the last time you worried someone was upset with you. Before you even confirmed anything, your mind created a full narrative. They're disappointed. I messed up. This will get worse. Yet when you finally spoke to them, the issue was small, or didn't exist at all. The suffering was self-generated. The mind wrote a story and you believed it. Why does the mind do this? Because the brain is designed to predict danger, not peace. It tries to protect you by imagining negative outcomes, thinking it's preparing you. But preparation becomes torture when you replay the same scenario again and again without action, evidence, or clarity. You're not solving a problem, you're feeding anxiety. A powerful Stoic exercise to break this pattern is the fact versus fiction audit. When a stressful thought appears, pause and ask. 1. What are the facts of the situation? 2. What part of this is my interpretation or fear? 3. Do I have evidence or am I guessing? 4. Is this happening now or only in my imagination? 5. What would this look like if I approached it rationally instead of emotionally? Most of the time, you'll discover that 90% of your stress has no factual foundation. It's a projection, not a reality. You can also practice reframing. Instead of thinking, this will go wrong, shift to, I don't know how it will go, and that's okay. Uncertainty is not a threat. It's a blank canvas. But your mind paints it black because fear loves familiarity. Another helpful approach is grounding yourself in the present moment. When you find your mind spiraling into future disasters, bring your attention back to what's actually happening right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Just this breath, this moment, this reality. The present is almost always gentler than your imagination. The truth is, the mind creates storms that life never asked you to walk through. You suffer from conversations that never happen, confrontations that never occur, failures that never unfold. When you understand this, you begin to reclaim your peace. You stop fighting invisible battles. You stop drowning in hypothetical futures. You finally realize that life is not nearly as painful as the stories you tell yourself. And once you let go of those imagined scenarios, you experience a deep exhale, the kind of quiet relief that reminds you, reality is far kinder than your fears. 4. The present moment is the only safe place. Most people don't live in the present. Their bodies move through the day, but their minds travel endlessly, back to old mistakes, forward to imagined disasters, sideways into comparisons and expectations. The problem is simple but devastating. Every moment spent outside the present is a moment spent suffering. The past brings regret. The future brings anxiety. Only the present offers peace. And yet, it's the one place the overthinking mind avoids the most. Stoicism teaches that the present moment is the only place where life actually happens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Why? Because the present is the only space you can influence. Everything else, what already happened, what might happen, what others think, is a storm beyond your reach. And when you chase storms, you lose yourself. Think about how often your mind drags you into unnecessary pain. You replay something you said years ago. You imagine how a meeting tomorrow could go wrong. You rehearse arguments that will never happen. None of this exists. None of it is happening now. But your nervous system reacts as if it is. Anxiety is often the cost of mentally living in a time zone your body is not in. When you return to the present, the noise fades, the mind softens, your breath slows. You reconnect with what is real, not the imagined, not the remembered, but the actual experience unfolding in front of you. The present is simple, but the mind complicates it. The present is quiet, but the mind fills it with noise. The present is safe, but the mind convinces you danger is everywhere. A powerful Stoic practice for reclaiming this moment is the 3-3-3 grounding. It's simple but transformative. Look around and name 3 things you can see. Listen for 3 sounds you can hear. Move 3 parts of your body gently: your fingers, your shoulders, your jaw. This exercise pulls your attention out of the mental spiral and anchors it back in reality. You can't be trapped in overthinking when your awareness is rooted in the present. Another tool is conscious breath. Not deep meditation, not anything complicated. Just one slow inhale and one slow exhale every time your mind drifts into fear or memory. The breath is the bridge between chaos and clarity. It reminds your body that you are here, not in the past that haunts you, not in the future that scares you. You can also practice present-first decision-making. Before reacting, ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? What do I know for certain? What is within my control in this moment only? These questions dismantle imagined narratives and shift your focus to what is real. The truth is, peace isn't something you chase. Peace is something you return to. It's already here, in the present moment, waiting beneath the layers of thought, fear, and distraction. Life becomes lighter when you stop time traveling in your mind. You breathe deeper, you think clearer, you feel grounded again. When you choose to live in the present, even for a few seconds at a time, you discover a calming truth. The moment you're in is almost always easier than the one your mind creates. 5. Control. What your mind can truly influence. One of the biggest sources of overthinking is the illusion that you can control everything. How people respond, how events unfold, how your future plays out. Your mind believes that if you think hard enough, predict enough, worry enough, or rehearse enough, you can force life into obedience, but this only exhausts you. The Stoics taught a liberating truth. Most of what you worry about is not yours to carry. Peace begins the moment you stop trying to control what was never under your control in the first place. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us, and some are not." This is more than a philosophical idea. It's a survival strategy. The more energy you waste trying to control the uncontrollable, the more powerless and anxious you feel. And the more powerless you feel, the deeper you sink into overthinking. The cycle feeds itself. Think about how much time your mind spends creating stories about things outside your influence. You worry about what someone thinks of you. You obsess over how others interpret your intentions. You replay how you should have acted differently. You fear outcomes you cannot shape. Every one of these mental loops pulls you further away from your center. The more mentally invested you become in what you cannot influence, the more overwhelmed you feel. The Stoic solution is radical but simple. Shrink your world down to what is truly yours: your thoughts, your actions, your effort, your character. Everything else belongs to the universe, and when you separate the two, the noise inside your head naturally quiets. A powerful way to apply this is through the 2 columns method. On one side, you write what is within your control. On the other side, what is not. Most people are shocked to discover how small the first column is and how enormous the second one becomes. But this realization is not discouraging. It's freeing. You learn to stop wasting emotional energy on outcomes, opinions, timing, and external events. Instead, you pour your attention into what you can actually change: your behavior, your preparation, your mindset. Imagine you're waiting for a response from someone. The old version of you refreshes your phone, imagines worst-case scenarios, and spirals into overthinking. But the Stoic version of you recognizes the message is out of your hands. Their reaction is not yours to manage. Your power lies in how you choose to show up, not in how someone else chooses to respond or think about goals. Overthinking often comes from a fear that things won't unfold perfectly, but perfection was never yours to control. What is yours is the effort you give, the consistency you maintain, the discipline you uphold. When you anchor yourself in what is yours, you no longer crumble when things don't go according to plan. You adjust, you respond, you continue. The beautiful truth is this: when your list of concerns becomes smaller, your peace becomes greater. The world doesn't calm down, the storms don't stop, but your mind does. Because you've stopped trying to steer winds you were never meant to control. When you finally embrace this stoic boundary, something shifts inside you. You stop chasing outcomes. You stop pleasing everyone. You stop rehearsing scenarios. You act with clarity, release the rest, and breathe again. You discover the freedom that comes from knowing your peace depends on what you hold, not on what you try to hold on to. 6. Discipline. Your attention will discipline you. Your mind is not naturally still. It jumps, wanders, drifts, spirals. And in a world designed to hijack your attention, notifications, noise, endless information, your thoughts scatter even faster. When your attention is scattered, overthinking becomes automatic. The mind looks for something to hold on to, and when nothing is grounded, it grabs fear, it grabs doubt, it grabs the worst possible interpretation. This is why so many people feel mentally exhausted even when nothing bad happened. Their attention is being pulled apart all day long. Stoicism teaches that attention is your greatest currency. Whatever you give attention to grows. Whatever you starve shrinks. If you feed your fears, they expand. If you feed your calm, it expands. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." In other words, an undisciplined mind becomes a prison, while a disciplined mind becomes a fortress. Think about how much peace you lose simply because your attention is unfocused. You're working, but your thoughts drift to what someone said yesterday. You're relaxing, but your mind jumps to what might go wrong tomorrow. You're talking to someone, but a piece of your mind is replaying an old mistake. Even moments that should be peaceful become opportunities for the mind to wander into stress. The problem isn't the wandering itself. It's the lack of awareness that it's happening. Overthinking thrives in silence because silence becomes a blank canvas for fear. When attention is untrained, your mind writes stories automatically. But when attention is disciplined, you choose what your mind focuses on, and overthinking loses its power. A powerful tool for reclaiming your attention is using anchors. An anchor is something that pulls your mind back to the present moment. Your breath can be an anchor. Your posture can be an anchor. The sensation of your feet on the ground can be an anchor. Every time you catch your mind drifting into worry or memory, return to one anchor. Not as a punishment, but as a reminder. You choose where your mind goes. Another technique is the single task rule. Overthinking often appears when you try to do multiple things at once. Multitasking isn't productivity, it's scattered attention disguised as effort. When you focus on one task, one conversation, one moment, your mind becomes quieter. You stop giving your brain space to open unnecessary tabs of worry. You can also practice attention scheduling. Instead of trying to fight every intrusive thought, give your mind a designated time to think freely, 10 minutes in the evening to reflect, process, or plan. By giving the mind a container, you prevent it from spilling thoughts everywhere throughout your day. But perhaps the most transformative principle is this: attention follows values. If you do not consciously choose what matters to you, your mind will choose for you, and it will always default to fear. When you decide what truly deserves your attention, your health, your relationships, your work, your growth, you begin to filter out everything else automatically. Your mind becomes a gatekeeper instead of a sponge. The truth is, Peace is not about stopping thoughts. Peace is about directing them. It's about choosing where your mind rests. When you discipline your attention, you discipline your emotions, your reactions, and your entire inner world. And eventually, you experience a calm realization. Your attention is your power, and where you place it is where your life goes. 7. Your life changes. When your inner dialogue changes, if you pay attention to the way you speak to yourself, you'll discover the real source of much of your suffering. Most people don't realize it, but they carry an inner voice that constantly judges, criticizes, doubts, and predicts the worst. This inner dialogue shapes emotions, decisions, confidence, and ultimately the quality of life. You live inside the words you tell yourself, and if those words are harsh, fearful, or hopeless, your inner world becomes hostile, even if your outer world is perfectly fine. Stoicism teaches that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Judgments are created by your inner dialogue. A neutral situation becomes painful the moment your mind interprets it negatively. Someone not responding becomes, "They don't care about me." A challenge becomes, "I'm not capable." A mistake becomes, "I always ruin things." Your mind writes the story, and you suffer inside the story. But this inner narration isn't truth, it's habit. Old fears, old experiences, old emotional patterns pretending to be reality. And the moment you begin questioning your inner voice, the moment you stop believing every sentence your mind generates, you reclaim your power. Think about how differently your life would feel if the voice in your head spoke to you the way you speak to someone you love. If the voice encouraged you instead of attacking you, if it guided instead of punishing, if it reminded you of your resilience instead of your failures. The quality of your inner dialogue is the foundation of your emotional stability. A powerful Stoic practice is the reframe formula. Whenever a negative thought arises, pause and separate it into two parts, the event and your interpretation. The event is factual. Your interpretation is optional. For example, the event might be, "I made a mistake." The interpretation might be, "I'm not good enough." If you remove the interpretation, the emotional sting dissolves. You can respond constructively rather than self-destructively. You can replace the old narrative with a grounded, rational one. "I made a mistake, but I can correct it." Or, "This is difficult, but difficulty is part of growth." Stoicism doesn't ask you to lie to yourself. It asks you to speak truthfully instead of dramatically, to recognize what is within your control and what is not, to see challenges as teachers, not catastrophes. Another technique is compassionate self-inquiry. When a harsh thought appears, ask, "Would I say this to a child, to a friend, to someone I care about?" If the answer is no, then the thought is not wisdom, it's self-sabotage. Replace it with something firm, honest, and supportive. Not empty positivity, but grounded clarity. For example, "I'm learning. I'm improving. I can handle this one step at a time." Your inner dialogue also determines how resilient you become. If your mind constantly predicts failure, every setback feels like proof. But if your mind expects progress, setbacks become feedback. The story you tell yourself about your struggle becomes the story you live. And here's the turning point. Once you consciously rewrite your inner dialogue, your emotional reality begins to shift. Overthinking decreases. Anxiety softens. Decisions become clearer. Life feels less heavy because you are no longer living inside a hostile voice. You realize something freeing. You can't control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control the thoughts you choose to engage with. When your inner dialogue becomes your ally instead of your enemy, your entire world transforms. You move through life not with fear, but with steadiness. Not with self-doubt, but with self-respect. And you understand the deepest truth of all. Change your inner voice, and you change your life. When you finally stop living in your head, life becomes lighter. Not because the world changes, but because you stop fighting battles that exist only in your imagination. Today, you learned 7 Stoic principles that pull you out of mental noise and bring you back to the calm truth of the present moment. You are not your thoughts. Action dissolves fear. Imagined scenarios are illusions. The present is your refuge. Control is limited, attention is power, and your inner dialogue shapes your entire life. Now the real work begins. Choose one principle, just one, and practice it today. Notice how your mind softens when you stop feeding it fear and start guiding it with clarity. Thank you for staying until the end. If this message brought you peace or perspective, share it with someone who might need the same reminder. And if you want more Stoic guidance on mastering your mind and living with calm strength, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay connected. Your peace returns the moment you return to yourself.